Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. It is a damn good day to talk about Vikings football. I am Kyle Smith, here with you always with Kyle West.
Heyo.
And Mr. Adam Carlson.
Hey.
And we're going to run down the official start of the 2017 football season for the Minnesota Vikings.
Week 1 is in the books.
Man, I hope somebody just happened to be busy yesterday and we can bring good news to them. But before we get rolling, this is episode number 268, if you can believe that, titled SKOL Dat. Taking a little shot at the Saints. I was going to do something with Aints in there or something like that because we haven't beat the Saints for almost 10 years. But we're
I was going to go with
football
something like it's a breeze or something like that. But I didn't think the game was that easy.
No, yeah, I don't. That's fair.
So I decided to just stick with something with a little bit of SKOL in it, a little bit of who dat, because I know the Saints fans love that stuff. That, and I was at the game on Monday night and got to meet several very charming Saints fans that were very respectful, very nice. It was a good experience.
Kyle, I think you were going to say something in the intro, man. What was going on?
I was just going to say the Vikings are still undefeated with Purple People Podcast in attendance, Adam.
That's right, 5-0 now. With me there.
So as long as you keep going to games, they're going to keep winning.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Adam's going to share his thoughts. We're going to break down and do, as we always do, the Game Ball on Donkey. But first, we're going to go through these quick hits. Not a lot to talk about, and we're very anxious to talk about this game. So let's run through these. The Vikings reached injury settlements with Datone Jones and Taylor Heineke, both released from injured reserve. This is the first time I'm reading this, so that's kind of crazy. Taylor Heineke, I think his season went down the drain last year, hurting himself, and then it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. Datone Jones, former first-round pick, that's kind of crazy. Not all the picks we know from the first round pan out, but best of luck to both of those guys. Man, I didn't know about this, so that's new for me.
I think Minnesota is super high on Kyle Slaughter. They really want to see what this kid's got. They're holding down the fort right now with Case Keenum as the backup, but I do think they really want Slaughter to move on up.
He sounds like a Walking Dead character.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Some comic book character. I can see that.
Yep.
I like it. It makes me think of Sergeant Slaughter from back in the day.
The real disappointment here is Datone Jones, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I really thought that he could come in and use his athleticism and everything to just come out and blow people out of the water. But instead, you've got Tashawn Bauer, who stepped in and just said, nope. You know, and these players emerging on the defensive line, they're just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, I figured that would probably be a bit of concern. I think we're pretty set at quarterback with Case Keenum backing up Sam Bradford. But I think we can all agree that the D-line is probably the biggest point of emphasis and the strength of this team. I think that's where we start if we're talking about the best part of the team overall. He would have been great depth. Maybe he could have finally lived up to that first-round hype, but I guess not. Good luck to both of them, though. We wish them well. Maybe they'll sign somewhere else and have an opportunity. Moving right along, speaking about people who were released, we talked about it last week. Guard ALEX Boone was released after not taking a pay cut with the team, and the Arizona Cardinals picked him up. So congrats to him for finding work somewhere else. He's not in our division or anything like that, so we don't have to worry about him too much, maybe in the playoffs, but pretty cool. I figured he'd get picked up somewhere else.
He's going to have a little tougher job now with David Johnson gone with that dislocated wrist.
Yeah, there's a lot of NFL news we could talk about, but their star player is down, as Adam just talked about. My number one pick in fantasy. Now I'm going to have to go find someone else. So just my luck.
Just got to rub that in a little bit.
But good job for ALEX Boone. I thought he would find a job, and he did. The last quick hit that we have on here that we could talk about, pretty cool because I watched the interview where he got really emotional. Former wideout Randy Moss enters the Vikings Ring of Honor. This is fitting because he just went in the Hall of Fame. I believe it was this year, correct? Or is he going to be this year?
No, he's eligible for this year's class.
Okay, so he enters the Vikings Ring of Honor now. I think we can all agree he's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Should be.
I don't think so.
I kind of thought Adam would have some hesitation on that.
No, T.O. goes in before Moss does.
No,
I just don't see it.
No.
He should. Would that happen? I don't know, because old heads in football and baseball are freaking weird. But it was pretty cool. If you guys didn't see it, go to Vikings.com. Give them a shout out, because they did all kinds of stuff for him yesterday. He blew the Gallahorn last night. He was there all day. It was really cool, and he mentioned Dennis Green and the fans, and just he was super thankful for the opportunity that he had to be a Viking and all the great moments that he shared. And we all know that he was a monster when he played. Even when he wasn't on our team, he was still doing big things. So I'm happy that he's there. I wonder if they're going to retire his jersey number now.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But I did love how much he was thankful to all his former teammates, his former players, gave props to all the Vikings legends that were on hand. I really enjoyed him bringing Sid Davey up, because Sid Davey really does personify the Vikings fans. Like, if you want a caricature to just look and be like, this is one of the most passionate Vikings fans ever, it's so awesome to see him being brought up by Randy Moss to the stage. And I don't know if they showed it a lot on the broadcast, but I wrote up the video of Moss's induction ceremony, and the Wilf family had nothing but great things to say. He was introduced by Paul Allen, and they did a card stunt around the stadium that had the number 84 against a purple backdrop with, you know, the yellow and white numbers, and it said, "Thank you, Randy Moss," and everything. It was real nice. A really cool thing, and I really enjoyed being a part of it, to be there and see it in person.
I'm super jealous that you got to go to this game. Kyle, when's the last game that you went to?
Thursday night game at the Metrodome against, I believe it was the Washington Redskins?
It was the Redskins.
Yeah, yep.
Did they win when you went?
I was there too.
Yeah, yep.
We gotta start having us at all these games. I might have to actually go down to Carolina this year so they can keep the streak alive.
I like it.
Well, there was a football game last night, and the Minnesota Vikings did work. If you guys didn't already hear about that, we defeated the New Orleans Saints in the home/season opener, 29-19. And I think we're just going to go ahead and I want to give out game balls and donkeys first. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead. I'll go last because I'm typing mine in, but go right ahead.
I'll lead things off. I don't mind.
Okay, go for it, Adam.
I think you guys know where my love lies, and it's an absolute obvious thing here that my ball's going to Pat Elflein. Starting his first game in the NFL regular season, came out and absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. And he didn't even just pass, protect, or run block well. He went down the field finding blocks. He found people to hit. And that is when you see an offensive lineman that just breaks off the screen at you and says, hey, this guy wants to play football. He wants his team to succeed. And he was down the field 20 yards blocking on one play. I love what this kid does. I think that he is going to be a fantastic center for the Vikings for a long time. And I just loved everything I saw from him in this game.
First rookie center to start for the Vikings since Mick Tingelhoff.
Yeah. You guys all know how much I love Tingelhoff.
Yeah, that's some good company to be a part of right there. I gave mine to Stephon Diggs. 7 catches for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Adam Thielen had more yards receiving, but man, Diggs with those 2 touchdowns, and he pulled off an amazing sideline catch. These guys, it's a toss-up between either or on which one you want to give the game ball to. I gave mine to Diggs because we had such a hard time scoring points last year. We settled for so many field goals. And I'm happy to see whoever it is for this team get out there on offense and put some points up for us, get some touchdowns.
Absolutely. Diggs came out and he put on a show. I was surprised to see the Vikings go to him instead of one of the taller wide receivers on the jump ball in the end zone. But
Diggs is good.
Wow. I can't say enough about him. I really can't. And the challenge here is for Kyle Smith to name one player for his game ball, so let's see what he does.
It's not in there. There's 2. Last night, I'm going to tell you straight up, guys. I had my prediction for this game, and I don't say them out loud because I'm weird about stuff like that. But I figured it would come down to the wire and we'd win by a field goal. We'll go ahead and break the game down shortly, but it was really hard to pick between one or two players who did bad because pretty much the whole team did great. My game ball is split between Sam Bradford and Adam Thielen. I couldn't pick one or the other. Adam Thielen was targeted 10 times. He caught 9 balls, and it says here it was for 157 yards, 17.4 average. Adam Thielen was just tearing up the Saints. And to accompany him, helping him out there was Sam Bradford. When you give Sam Bradford time, I mean, the guy's just as accurate a passer as you could ever ask for. Sam Bradford was on fire. He was named Pro Football Focus's quarterback of the week, which is crazy because there was actually one or two more that actually had more touchdowns. Might have been a little bit better than him, but Sam Bradford was 27 of 32, 143 rating, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, average over 10 yards per attempt. So, holy crap. For all the negativity that came along with Bradford and he's Mr. Checkdown, he kind of shut everyone up last night, and I'm hoping this continues.
And we had all the criticism during the preseason since the team failed to score a touchdown.
That's right.
And they came out and took all that away. Pro Football Focus came out, and they revealed their Week 1 NFL Team of the Week. Starting quarterback, Sam Bradford. Starting wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. And in the flex is Adam Thielen.
That's absolutely incredible. And you
no defensive players from the Vikings made the team.
You got to think, too, for them to do that. That's not normally, like you just said, where we would pick from. Probably be the defense if I had to guess anyone. There's an undrafted free agent there that we picked up a long time ago, worked his way through the practice squad in Thielen. There's a 5th-round pick in Stephon Diggs. And here is a enigma of a quarterback that was a first-rounder that never could find his way. And look at him finally living up to the hype. And all the people last year that talked about how, oh, you guys are so stupid for trading away a 1st round for Sam Bradford, looks pretty damn good right now. So we'll see if this continues. Obviously, there's 15 more games. But for all the good stuff that happened last night, there was reason to give donkeys away. So we'll go backwards. Me and Kyle West, I'm sorry I stole yours, Kyle, but it was going to be him regardless, no matter who I picked. Latavius Murray, holy crap. Your first possession as a Viking, and you fumble and lost. I think he had, 2 carries the whole game, maybe?
Yeah, he got pulled immediately after that fumble. Zimmer just like, nope, you're just done. I don't think you've seen him again in the game until way later on. It's frustrating. He was a player that I had really high expectations for, and I think a lot of fans did on coming in, and he wasn't even a part of the game plan. He didn't even see a touch until the 3rd quarter of the game, and then he goes out there and he fumbles, and he's supposed to be the veteran of the group to be brought in. Nah, that don't work for me.
2 carries for 6 yards. Those are Adrian Peterson numbers from last night. So.
Burn.
Peterson averaged 30 yards a carry.
Yes, it's sad.
My donkey, I hate to give this to him because he's such a good player, but Terrence Newman should never, ever have been matched up as often as he was against Ted Ginn Jr. I don't understand why that matchup was happening. Terrence Newman, not known for his speed. He can stick with receivers pretty well. Yeah, I don't get what the Vikings were doing here. Ted Ginn, of course, a speedster. He got those 9 routes. He got open deep several times when he probably shouldn't have. When he was reversing the field, Newman just couldn't keep up.
I mean, what do you expect from him, though? That's bad coaching or bad scheme or something. Then that doesn't happen too much on this Mike Zimmer team.
No, it was just a mismatch that happened far too often. And when I'm in the stadium and I'm looking down at the field and I'm going, no, this should not be happening. That's not right.
I'm surprised they didn't put Trey Waynes on him. Personally.
They should have.
Yeah.
They absolutely should have. Or at least put a safety over it or something. I don't know. But it was a situation where Terrence Newman was just outclassed in the speed regard right there.
You remember years ago when they used to put, Josh Robinson on Calvin Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
When they'd be like, hey, go cover Calvin Johnson in his prime, and he would just get torched. Yeah. And we would always be like, that's not his fault. It's Calvin Johnson. That's a mismatch. That's horrible. That
but this is happening. Ted Ginn. This ain't Calvin Johnson.
Well, I know.
You got to put players against their strengths. If you've got a strong route runner, you put a receiver that sticks with players, or a corner that sticks with players better on them. This was a situation that I don't understand why it was happening as often as it was. And there's no way that Ted Ginn should have been, I don't even have his stats up right here, 53 yards on 4 catches on 5 targets. Ted Ginn catching 80% of his passes, that's a dream day for him.
Yeah, isn't Ted Ginn basically worthless other than special teams? I mean, to be honest,
I think that Ted Ginn is a poor man's Mike Wallace. He's really all he's got is his speed because Carolina being my home, and I hear a lot about him, he dropped a lot of balls.
Yeah.
So he's like I said, poor man's Mike Wallace. He's just known for his speed at times. And like Adam was saying, that's the only thing that stood out to me. I had dinner with a fellow Vikings fan and a Cowboys fan, and they were like, man, Terrence Newman, why is he still playing? And I was like, look, guys, look up the stats from last year. He was fine last year. And they're like, well, he's getting burned tonight. And I said, well, maybe that's true. But I think that's something that they're going to address. They probably addressed earlier today when they had the meeting. Be like, okay, maybe not so much for you on the speedsters. I don't see Terrence Newman covering Antonio Brown this weekend. You know,
no, it was a mismatch that I noticed right away, and was making me frustrated up in the stands because you could see it coming. But I don't know. To me, I'm nitpicking enough to where that's my donkey of the week, and that makes me happy that I have to nitpick that far.
Yes, and all in all, I think. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I think you guys will agree. I think the Vikings played better than we expected them to. I don't doubt this team's ability, but after what we know in the preseason and what we saw from the line and the first-team offense, we had high hopes for Dalvin Cook. We didn't have too many worries about the receiving corps to include the tight ends. We just wanted to know, can you block for Bradford? Will Bradford be better now that he's had that time? And I think, honestly, when I watched the game, the presser after the game from Mike Zimmer, I think the best thing that stood out to me that I hope they take this week really seriously, because we have the AFC runner-up this weekend in their house, is the game preparation. I feel like they studied their asses off, and they just knew exactly how to box in Drew Brees and make him one-dimensional, and they eventually took advantage of him. And Drew Brees is still a very, very good quarterback. I still consider him elite because he's still putting up crazy, stupid numbers. So I think it was a preparation overall.
I want to thank the people in the chat right now. We've got Doogie, Paul Gruber. We've got Eric Grendel. We've got, let's see, guys? Marcus Harrison. Lots of awesome comments here in the chat. We've got a request for a shout-out for Eric Grendel for his late puppy, Lily, who sadly had to be sent off.
Man, that hits home, man. I'm really sorry to hear that, Eric. Our prayers are with you.
We've got lots of Purple Pride going on in here, lots of SKOLs. We got Marcus Harrison thanking us for being the best podcast in the world, which I don't know about that guy, but but I do appreciate you listening, and it's a lot of fun being able to be here and comment with you guys. I personally really love it.
Hey, we'll take that. I don't know if we earned it, but if you're going to give it to us, we're going to take it. I'm going to run with that.
Jay Dozy is also here with us, which is nice. Always good to have him as well.
Well, let's talk about the offensive line first, Adam. I know it's one of your favorite subjects. Yeah, let's mix it up a little bit because we know how bad it was last year. We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how good the protection was last night for Sam Bradford.
1 sack allowed for 7-yard loss. That's it, 1 sack. A lot of the worry came from the right side of the line. There was a lot of concern over Mike Remmer's ability, and he held his own fairly well against the defensive end over there on his own. But to me, it was the interior of that line that really held everything together. And you can tell when the ball was ran up the gut or there was a guard pulling that it was really the strength of the whole team. I'm kind of sad that this will probably be Berger's last year, so the Vikings will probably have to go out and find a new guard at the right guard position. But at least for this season, I really love the solidity of those 3 in the middle.
Please stay healthy from just everyone out there in Vikings land. Please stay healthy because we have a good group of guys going right here.
I'm just going to tell you the highlights after the show or after the game last night were they were counting the time in the pocket, and I related it to Peyton Manning. The reason Peyton Manning was so good the year they won the Super Bowl is because he usually got the ball out within a second or less. Sam Bradford had multiple times, and it was usually on the deep throws. 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, that's forever in the pocket. And immediately when the game was over, you know, it's really crazy. Out of Denver, LA Chargers, New Orleans Saints, and the Minnesota Vikings, out of the 4 teams in the 2 games last night, Sam Bradford is the star, like far and beyond. So he gets talked to after that game, after the first Monday night game, and he immediately says, I played so well tonight because it was easy because of the offensive line. So I loved it. And it's really cool to see that I think what our problem was, now looking at it, was a little bit of age and wear and tear, because these are fairly young guys. Last year we got guys out of their prime, and they were a little bit old, but we still had faith in them. We've got a whole new core, and like you guys said, if they stay healthy, man, this is a team that'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Bradford, 346 yards passing,
Ooh,
27 for 32, 3 passing touchdowns, QBR 95.2, a quarterback rating of 143. You can't ask for anything much better than that.
Sam Bradford should have got a game ball too. Speaking of splitting them up and giving some love around, that's a great performance from Brad.
Well, I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Trent Dilfer or whoever it was. I think he does Monday night. He says, Sam Bradford, you can be nice all you want to and give that ball to the offensive line, but the game ball goes to you. And I just did the math, 84% completion rating. Yeah. He laughs at your 71% for the year last year. He's going for 85 now. That's incredible. That's
throughout the game, they were dividing up the stats, like as far as his accuracy at each level. And it was weird. Like his lower accuracy was the closer to him. His deep balls, I think he had 80% for a lot of the game, just deep, which was amazing.
It's crazy. I'm so glad to see him thrive, because this has been the biggest knock on him is, well, he's a bum, he's a bust, blah, blah, blah. The poor guy's been through hell since he's been in the league. Health issues and changing offensive coordinators and et cetera, et cetera. But look what happens when he's healthy and he has a full year to prepare.
It's definitely night and day, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. All right, let's go to the receiving core, since I have some of those stuff right here. So the leading receiver last night was Adam Thielen, targeted 10 times, caught 9 balls for 157. Stephon Diggs was targeted 8 times, caught 7 of those for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Below him, 3 receptions apiece for Jerick McKinnon for 32. Kyle Rudolph with 26 and a touchdown grab. Jarius Wright, Laquan Treadwell each had a catch. And Dalvin Cook caught 3 passes, showing his versatility last night. So all in all, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 receivers caught 27 passes last night.
And those are the core guys that you want to get involved in the passing game. All of those guys need to be involved on a consistent basis for this team to win.
Pro Football Focus last year said that Adam Thielen was the best deep receiver in the NFL, and here he is again. 17.4 yards per catch, a long of 44. Him in those dishpan gloves, I don't know what it is. But
and for a guy, they were even talking about this on the broadcast last night.
Now here's a guy.
Well, here's a guy who wasn't very fast. Like, that was supposed to be the knock on him, is that, oh, he's not a speedy receiver. And look at him out there catching deep passes for the Vikings.
He's such a good route runner too, man. It's crazy. And I think just hats off to Pat Shurmur too for everybody. Like I said, game planning, definitely you could see that they planned a lot for this, because New Orleans defense, not the greatest. We all know that. They've been 7-9 the last 3 seasons with Drew Brees throwing for 5,000 yards. We know what the weakness is.
Yeah.
But they did revamp the front 7, because you could see they had some younger, hungrier players out there. They were fast. But, man, they just picked them apart. Bradford having that time, he just picked them apart with our receivers, man. It was crazy.
Game ball to Sean Payton for taking those timeouts before halftime.
That was such a bold move. I was even messaging, I don't know if it was you or my friend Clint.
No, you said it to us. He was like, man, that's cocky.
I was like, man, that's a cocky move to think that you can get the ball back and move down and score some points before halftime.
And they were trying to make up for it on the telecast, the announcers were. They were trying to be like, well, he has to take the timeouts because he has to see what he has in his young defense. Like, F you guys. If that would have been any other coach other than Sean Payton, if that would have been some flavor of the month coach, you guys would have been chastising him up and down the field for that. But they totally gave the benefit of the doubt to him. It was stupid. I'm so glad that the Vikings just moved the ball down there and scored on that drive.
Adam, you were there last night. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4. My gut tells me it's 4 because of the score. But the Saints offense went to the end zone 4 times, and the first 4 times they went to the end zone, they were held to field goals.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that jumped out at me out of the whole entire game.
And let's be honest, Drew Brees' passing touchdown, garbage time.
Garbage time, absolutely.
A lot of garbage time stat padding in that.
There was a lot of cushiony defense for that last drive, but we kind of knew it was already in the bag. We weren't going to.
It was a 3-possession game at that time, so why fight so hard? You know,
just don't give up the big play. Is what they were. Just don't give up a big play.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's definitely clock management. We were already in clock management mode on that. Let's just go ahead and get this one over with, because we're going to talk about it eventually. Adrian Peterson made his way back to town. He was very nice to the fans. He signed a bunch of stuff. He was happy.
Yeah, he was classy.
Yeah, he was very classy about it. I was very happy. Adam can tell you if there was mixed boos or cheers for him, but
there wasn't a lot of cheering.
Oh, well, there you go from the guy that was at the game last night. Not a lot of happy people in the building, but I did see a lot of Peterson jerseys on TV. And 6 rushes, 18 yards, averaged 3 yards a carry. That's weird. I'm not surprised because he only got to touch the ball 6 times. AP was a guy that usually needed to get in a rhythm before he broke a big one out. Maybe he could have. Looked like he might have caught a receiving touchdown there. We weren't going to let that happen. I saw that immediately with the coverage. But DALVIN Cook, let's talk about, I won't say the change in the guard because it's one game, but Adrian Peterson's original record was 103 in his rookie debut as a Viking. DALVIN Cook rushes for 127 last night. And like I said earlier, he caught 3 passes for 10 yards. Man,
yeah,
this kid is awesome.
DALVIN Cook setting a new franchise record for a running back in his rookie debut, 127 yards. Sure, some of those yards came when the Vikings were grounding the ball or just pounding the ball on the ground to try to keep the clock moving and keep the ball away from the Saints.
You can't knock him for that. That's his job.
But that shouldn't be his job. That should be Latavius Murray out there grinding yards like the old way Matt Asiata used to. It should have been the bigger body running backs. But DALVIN Cook really did prove that he can do it all out there.
Adam, you'll have to tell me if I'm wrong, but from everything that I saw on the TV last night, he had to earn every yard that he was getting. They weren't just giving me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he kind of realized that probably about 6 or 7 rushes in. He's like, man, this isn't Florida State where I can just blast past people. These are the big boys. But he kept his wits about him, and he kept – the biggest thing that I was worried about was ball control. And he didn't fumble. And he was even in there for a couple of plays where he attempted a blocking. Now, I'm sure that's something that he's going to have to get better at. But he did it all last night. So I was very, very happy with DALVIN Cook. So I wanted to get him out there.
It was a very good debut performance from DALVIN Cook.
A lot of the focus is going to be put on the rushing or, even the couple of receptions. But he was also very stout in picking up blitzes. He was a big reason why some of those passes were able to be pulled off.
Sorry for the dead space there. I'm trying to get these stats going. I'll pull these up real quick. The defense, man. Let's transfer over to the defense, and we'll hit special teams later. Oh my goodness, I thought the defense was great last year for the first half of the year. We all saw what happened. We kind of lost the gas on the way, but these guys looked even better than they did the first couple of weeks, in my opinion. Now, we didn't come away with any takeaways. I believe there was a fumble loss. I think we recovered one. We didn't have any interceptions, which I was really hoping we would get. But Minnesota defense, Trey Waynes had the most tackles with 11, 9 by himself. Anthony Barr, Everson Griffin, Anderson Dejo, and Harrison Smith came in at 6, and Eric Kendricks. I saw a fired-up Eric Kendricks last night. I saw Anthony Barr getting in there and making his presence known. But that D-line, man, that D-line was nasty last night. I was so impressed with the D-line.
Well, let's talk about a couple things that we were really impressed with, or at least I was during this game. Eric Kendricks looked greatly improved in pass defense. Before, he could have gotten picked on quite a bit. Not so much in this game.
He looks good all around, Adam.
Absolutely. He is a great centerpiece in that defense for Mike Zimmer. Trey Waynes, 9 solo tackles, 11. The energy on this kid is amazing.
A lot of hate. I wanted to talk about that too. There's a lot of hate for him on Twitter right now that I frankly didn't understand.
Go read a book.
Yeah, people were calling him a bust after that game, and I'm like, I didn't see that at all. So I'm glad you said that, Adam.
Well, let's be honest here too. Wayne's is going to look kind of bad because the targets are going to come to his side. I believe Xavier Rhodes was only thrown at 4 times.
Yeah, no one's throwing towards Xavier. Good point, Adam.
So, yeah, Waynes is going to get picked on, and there were even points where Mackenzie Alexander came up with some good plays.
Mm-hmm.
I saw,
and he's another one that Vikings Twitter just loves ripping on.
How long is this? Is only Wayne's 3rd season?
Yeah,
correct. He's still super young, and he still has a lot of learning to do.
I mentioned this last night with my guys at the dinner table too. Like, Mike Zimmer is very hesitant on rookies alone, but I think he's the hardest on the corners because that's his specialty. And then I gave him the old quote about finding a cover 2 corner at 7-Eleven in Mankato or something. And this is about the time where he gets that big boy role and he has to earn his keep. I don't think he looked bad last night. He saved a touchdown from happening, even though it was his busted coverage, I believe. But he saved a touchdown from happening. And like to Adam's point, when you have a Pro Bowl mega superstar corner like Xavier Rhodes, who the hell are you going to throw at? I'm not throwing near Harrison Smith. He's just as good as Xavier. I'm going to pick on Trey Waynes all night. That's why he has the most tackles. So I'm not mad with Trey Waynes' performance. He did his job.
No, and he even tackled a lot of those players right at the point of attack. So I have absolutely nothing to complain about when it comes to Trey Waynes.
I like Trey Waynes a lot, man. I see a lot of potential in him. I don't think he's anywhere near where he's going to be, but I do like what I see out of him. I think he's moving along just fine.
And while Barr didn't exactly come out and look like a superstar in this game, he looked good.
He did. Nothing crazy from Anthony Barr, but it's the Barr that we
solid
remember.
game.
Solid game, like you said. Hitting on the defense, I know who was the starter in between Kendricks and Barr? Was it Gideon? I believe it was Ben Gideon.
Yeah, Ben Gideon was the other starting linebacker.
Yeah, he didn't look too bad. I saw a couple good plays from him and J-Ron Curse on special teams. J-Ron Curse had one oh, man, I thought the guy from New Orleans was going to break it out, but as soon as he caught the ball, I thought it was going to be a fair catch too. J-Ron Curse comes out of nowhere with his big 7-foot-tall ass and makes a nice play. So I was really excited to see that. I remember that play straight off my head. Let me pull these stats up too. Jerick McKinnon did pretty well in the return game. Surprisingly.
Hold on a minute. Pause. He needs to take more knees in the end zone because I know Bradford was having a good game, but that's against the Saints and their shitty defense. When we go against teams with better defenses, I don't want to consistently see Sam Bradford and the Vikings happen to start on the 10-yard line. Okay?
Right.
Take that knee. You don't have to run everything out. Your spot is safe. Pick and choose. If it's 10 yards back in the end zone, just take a knee. Don't run it out. Don't do that crap.
Yeah, because I did see the Saints do that. I see your point on that because the Saints did that because Kai Forbath doesn't have the strongest leg, but still they did. They went down and took a knee a couple of times.
Alvin Kamara had no problem taking a knee there.
Mm-hmm.
Jerick McKinnon had 4 kick returns, 108 total yards, which averages out to 27 for each return. His longest was 39, so efficient. I think he did well for what he was doing. Marcus Sherrills caught 2 punt returns, 11, so 5.5 apiece. Longest one is 13. Kai Forbath, 3 of 3 for the field goals, 2 of 3 for the extra point. So not a bad outing for him. That extra point, I'm not too worried about that. He made the field goals. Ryan Quigley, 2 punts, 87 yards, 1 inside the 20. His longest was 52. So all around.
The punting looks okay till you look over at Thomas Morstead. That guy's got a leg over there for New Orleans. Holy cannoli.
Let's just not do a lot of punting. Can we just we just don't punt too much now in Minnesota. I'm okay with that.
No, only punting twice, nothing wrong with that. I want to jump back to the defense for just a quick second, though.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about Danielle Hunter, who only had 1 tackle on the day and otherwise is pretty quiet there in the stat lines. Danielle Hunter was regularly just pressuring Drew Brees. I know pressuring isn't really a stat that ESPN has, but Danielle Hunter was getting some penetration, and he was getting in there, and he was disrupting things. And even though it doesn't show up on the stats, I thought he had a pretty solid game.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a shout-out to Brian Robinson really quick for kind of filling in a little bit of the Chad Greenway veteran role. They showed him out there on defense kind of standing up and kind of calling out what the other offense was doing, kind of like what Chad used to do. And I thought that was really cool to see him, filling and doing that. Smart guy. That's what'll keep him around on this team.
Very much, yeah. B-Rob's definitely a team player. Shout out to Everson Griffin for getting a sack last night too. He was definitely up in Drew Brees' face as well. So
we got to talk about that hit from
the Vikings. Should have had 2 sacks.
We got to talk about that hit.
That's why I segue to this because. Yep. Tom Johnson was called for roughing the passer because they protect quarterbacks these days. Tom Johnson, I'm just going to put it bluntly. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. If you watch the tape, Tom Johnson is falling down, doing his job in trying to be someone who's trying to eat the quarterback and tackle him. He reaches out and touches the lower half of Drew Brees. I don't think it was in a negligent manner. I think he was just doing actually what his instincts tell him to do. And, roughing the passer was called, and I was very upset. But then I understand – once they show it, I said, okay, cool. I don't agree with it. I don't have to like it, but this is what the rule is now because they're going to protect these quarterbacks. So that happened.
Well, the hit did look like it landed above the knee, which in my mind, if you're hitting the thigh, it shouldn't be a penalty. But I can understand when the live action's going on, you got to protect your quarterback. And it's Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a money quarterback in the NFL, big name. Yep. I understand why it was called, but I don't like it.
I don't think it was too much. I don't, like I said, I can understand it and not like it. I don't think it was a terrible call based on what they have to look for. I don't like it. But Mike Zimmer was okay with it, too. He talked about it in the press conference. He said, look, I'm fine with the calls. The officiating crew was very good with their communication with me tonight, and I don't think they did a bad job at all. So I'm sure it's one of those where they could be like, all right, cool. If you're going to give him one, give him one. I'll let you have it, because we all know Mike Zimmer's not afraid to talk to referees or anybody else on the field. So,
but let's talk about the moment in this game that I thought kind of turned the whole thing around. For a while there, it seemed like it was kind of going to be a low-energy game, but then there was a late hit out of bounds by the Saints. And if you could have heard that stadium just erupt, because maybe it's because it was the Saints, but wow, I've never heard that many people that vocal about anything in my life. And looking over at the sidelines, you could tell they were feeding off that as well. You could just see the fury in a lot of those players. And I think
that was a hit on Adam Thielen, right?
Yeah, when he was going out of bounds after catching a ball, and they just smacked him.
He was way out of bounds, too. It's not like he was, he's on his way out in the accident. No, he was like 2 steps out of bounds.
Yeah, that to me was a big turning point in this game. The energy just completely changed. The focus just lasered in. Those kind of moments are fantastic.
Tommy Gunn is like, at least the refs didn't ruin the game, cough, cough, Packers game. Let's not talk about that. We don't want to go there, Tommy.
Yeah, there were some interesting calls in that game. But refereeing isn't always consistent, and there is room for human error. That's the way it goes.
Yep.
But overall, you have to be pleased with the Minnesota Vikings' performance against the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football in Week 1, coming out with a 10-point victory in a game that never really was truly that close.
Nope. The scoreboard doesn't,
past halftime.
Scoreboard doesn't show that this game was one-sided pretty much everywhere. Like I said, the Saints scored a touchdown in garbage time because we knew we had it up and we were managing the clock. Held the Saints in 4 out of 5 possessions in the red zone to field goals. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I think this is pivotal. Nobody wants to start the year out with a loss, especially at home, because we got a tough opponent next week, facing the AFC runner-ups from last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. So we have a challenge ahead. But I have faith that it's much tougher defense. Another elite quarterback. In my opinion, the best wide receiver and the best running back in football. So you're going to have to take at least one of those out because I don't think you're going to be able to contain both. So you have to pick your poison. But yeah, very good outing against the Saints. 1-0, start out the season right. Everything looked good in pretty much all phases. And next week's going to be interesting. If the Vikings play like they did this Sunday, I have full faith that they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just have to play mistake-free football, and I think they need to find a turnover this weekend.
Yeah, they will need to force a turnover, and they will need to contain Antonio Brown. I do have faith that the Vikings can hold off some of the rushing attack, but this is going to be a test. But then again, a lot of people said the New Orleans Saints offense was going to test this defense as well. And
I mean,
the Vikings defense didn't seem to struggle too much. They really didn't.
That's very true. Drew Brees usually throws for like 5,000 yards every season. So it's going to be a slow start for him this year. But very happy, man. We're all on cloud 9. Those are the games that we love.
It's an important win, I think, for Minnesota because you're looking at a franchise, in a way, that struggles in primetime big games like this. And this was the Vikings opening up Monday Night Football. There was a lot of big storylines, whether or not they have anything to do with like what actually happens in the game. But boy, the media sure was talking a lot about Adrian Peterson coming in and playing against his former
on
team.
the train to the game, it was all Adrian Peterson. In the stands before the game, it was all Adrian Peterson. And Adrian Peterson was a non-factor in this game.
Non-factor. We didn't even hardly talk about him in this game.
Past the starting carry where he got 9 yards.
Yeah.
Forgettable.
Yeah.
There was an exchange. I just want to hit on it real quick between him and Sean Payton. It was really funny. You could tell they were totally BSing in the interview afterwards because Adrian was yelling at Sean Payton from behind. He had the death stare, I think the interview said. And you see Sean Payton turn around real quick and say something, and he just moves back. Sure, Adrian wanted the ball more, but
how long? Guys, this isn't the Adrian Peterson podcast no more, but how long are the Saints really going to keep him on their roster?
I mean, he signed a 2-year deal. I would be very surprised even if he finishes the year here. He needs to go to, and I said this today in the truck at work, he needs to go to a team. He needs to go to a team who needs a running back. They have 2 solid options without him for way cheaper. He needs to go to a New York Giants team. They need a runner on their team, and they're set because they have a quarterback and good receivers. They don't have a running game. He needs to go to a team like that who can pound him 10, 15, 20 times a game. He's not going to do that in New Orleans.
No.
He's not going to do that.
He won't see that quantity.
But if you guys were worried, some of my guys were like, man, you don't ever bet against Adrian Peterson. Look, man, he's not worth the $18 million he wanted to stay here. That's what Sam Bradford's making. I think we made a wise choice. Good luck to you, man. It was nice to see you last night. Play us again in the playoffs. So I hope you have the same performance. But, man, that was crazy. Little heated exchange there. But I wanted to talk about the schedule real quick because we talked about the Steelers. We have an interesting couple of weeks coming up because I picked before the season started 2 teams, one from each conference that didn't make the playoffs but were on the cusp last year that I think will make the playoffs this year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jameis Winston, they have a good defense. They got Mike Evans. They now have Deshaun Jackson. They have a great tight end they picked up in the draft. I really do see them as a sleeper team, maybe a dark horse in the NFC South. Hell, they might even win it because they change division winners every year in that division. We have them right after the Steelers in week 3. So the Steelers were a playoff team. We have them next week. The Buccaneers come to us. The Detroit Lions, who swept us last year, which sickens me to say, they're coming to us week 4. And we have a string from there. The Lions, we go to Chicago and then Green Bay at home. So we have – I'll run through that one more time. A playoff team, a potential playoff team, a playoff team last year, division rival, division rival, division rival. So
yeah,
we've got a weird string of games coming up.
I seen one of those strength of schedule posts. I forget where it was even from, and they tried to say that the Vikings had like the 25th easiest schedule in the league, and I was like,
based off of record, yes, because we finished 3rd. But the other thing that they don't tell you, because I saw this, I think it was on Pro Football Focus, we faced some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
But also that's the NFL. Every game is tough.
Yep.
Look at what was that? What did Jacksonville do? Didn't they?
Jacksonville beat the hell out of Houston. And I'll tell you what, I think Pittsburgh went to Cleveland, and they only beat them by 3 points. So don't sleep when we play the Browns this year. We're gonna have a tough outing. So we got a couple of interesting pieces coming up. So all these games coming up are going to be crucial. So don't count off just because we play the Bucs or the Lions that we're just going to automatically win that game.
Let's talk about our social media question for the week. After the game, we went on Facebook and we asked you guys, what did you think of Dalvin Cook's rookie debut last night? And we got some pretty interesting answers here. Craig Morley says it was a great debut, ably assisted by better-than-expected offensive line play. Elflin had a top-class debut, too. Absolutely. Eric Grendel says a perfect debut, looked strong at the end of the game. MCK is a great compliment. Okay. I don't know what MCK is. You guys got any idea?
I'm trying to find it on here. Who is that?
Oh, McKinnon. MCK is McKinnon. Okay.
Oh, Jet. Yeah. They do compliment one another.
I'm not used to seeing
well.
MCK. I had to think about that for a second. John Dostal says the real question is, does the credit go to the O-line or Cook? I loved his burst at the line his burst of speed and vision, especially I liked how he was at pass blocking. And when you're up in the stands and you're watching this game, his acceleration after he gets a handoff is insane. The burst of speed that he has after getting the ball in his hands, amazing. You stand there and you look at it and you go, wow.
That's what I like to hear.
Brandon Ellis says he looked great all around except for a drop or two in the passing game. My favorite thing was to see his pass protection. He did a fantastic job picking up blitzes, fighting for tough yards, while holding on to the football. He may not be the biggest back, but he's not scared to do the dirty work. Paul Gruber says Dalvin Cook is a complete back. We only saw a glimpse of what he's going to show us down the road. I predict very big things from this young man. As our new offensive line gels, he'll open up creases that Cook can quickly slip through. Before defenses know it, he'll be sprinting through their backfield, north-south runner, explosive, very sure-handed carrying the ball too, something AP always made me nervous with.
Good comment, Paul. I thought the same thing. I thought even though he had, 127 yards, he left some on the field that he will learn from. There were a lot of times where I felt like maybe he didn't make the best decision, and it ended up being, a 1 or a 2 yard gain. As time goes on, he will learn when to make better cuts and make better decisions, and he very well could have had 200 yards this game for us.
Thomas Bugge gave away his game ball to Kendricks and his donkey to McKinnon, but he also commented on this question, saying that Dalvin Cook was as advertised, very explosive and fast. Seeing his speed on the field, he said Cook might not be able to carry a players on defense for 8 yards, but he can run fast, make cuts, catch the ball, and block.
NFL really doesn't have a lot of backs like what Adrian Peterson was. So you really don't need the big back that can, plow through and do that.
We've talked about that in the show for quite a while, how the NFL changed. It's time for the dynamic backs to take the field. The receiving backs, the blocking backs, all-around backs, committees. The featured back has gone the way of the Buffalo.
Yeah.
It really has.
Gone the way of the
responses we got there. We're going to post another question after the game next week, I think. Maybe something similar about a player's performance or how we felt the team did. It should be something that goes up a little bit after the game, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think that we've got... Do we have a Kyle's 5 or a bold statement this week?
Not yet. I'm not going to jump the overreaction Tuesday just yet. But
Okay.
Give me another Sam Bradford for performance like this in Pittsburgh, and I'll make something really crazy come out of my mouth.
How about you, Mr. West? Do you have a 5?
Not this week. I'm trying to think of a bold statement. I don't know. I hate doing the same thing. It's 1 week. I don't want to be like Super Bowl, baby, after 1 week because you just don't know. You just don't know.
I don't even know if what I would say would be bold because it's kind of like if it goes like this as expected. But I would put Dalvin Cook anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 yards this year.
Sure.
I think he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I really do. I know Leonard Fournette's going to be tough to compete with because Jacksonville, if they play like they did yesterday, might have figured it out, which is weird. Christian McCaffrey did all right. I think he had like 60 yards. But, yeah, he damn sure could get 1,000 to 1,200 yards. And who knows, maybe he could rack up 400 to 500 receiving as well. That would be insane.
That would be nice to see. Let's finish things up here by talking about the Podcast Survival League. Week 1 is in the books. We got 6 strikes among our players. 3 of them picked Houston to win this week, and Houston.
Ooh.
I understand why they would have picked Houston, but Houston did fall short. We had one team as well that picked the New England Patriots.
Usually a solid bet.
Usually you can't go wrong.
Boy.
But wow, it's amazing how that happens. And 2 teams failed to make picks this week, so hopefully they'll be back and make some selections in week 2. The most popular pick this week seems to be the Buffalo Bills in week 1.
Interesting.
That was also the team that I chose. Otherwise, there were quite a few people picking Atlanta. The interesting thing from week 1 is that no team in the league at all picked the Minnesota Vikings to beat the New Orleans Saints.
For shame.
0.
Wonder what game everyone is saving that for to pick the Vikings.
Probably Cleveland.
Probably Cleveland. Isn't that one in London, though?
Yeah.
Not that matters, but I don't know. That's
a Browns home game in London. Funny how that works out. Let's see. We've got Eric Grandal with a bold statement here saying the Vikes D shuts down Steelers offense in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's bold, but it certainly is a prediction, and it's going to be a challenge. Because they can attack you in so many ways.
I will do a bold wish. This is a first for the podcast.
A bold wish.
A bold wish. The Vikings will not have a single injury on the offensive line.
Oh,
in 2017.
God.
Why?
God,
a bold
why?
wish.
Oh, wow.
Why? For shame to you.
Oh.
Oh, God. You guys leave all the hate for Kyle West if something happens now. We don't speak about that here.
Nope. I was not even going to mention anything of the sort.
Oh, damn it, Kyle.
So they all go down. They all go down next week.
Oh.
Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry.
But we'll be back next week to discuss the Vikings' trip to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. We'll be giving away our game balls and donkeys and everything like that, which is always a lot of fun. And we hope you can come back and join us in the chat, which is always great to see.
Can I just say, I love living in the Mountain Time Zone because I got to watch all those games last night, and I was in bed before 10:30.
That's insane.
Peter?
It's Sunday at 11 a.m. for me. I am super excited because by the time this game's over with, it'll barely be the afternoon. So I'm excited. Very, very, very excited.
That's nice.
I always felt weird thinking that on the West Coast, football games started at 10 a.m.
Isn't that's awful? I would still be asleep.
Yeah, I don't know how those West Coasters did it. But I do want to remind people, if you can, please subscribe. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified anytime that we get a new video or schedule a live show or go live. Because I figured out that's what the little bell does. Which is pretty fun.
Yeah, it'll let you know that we're going live at that moment. And if you join the chat, like our faithfuls like Tommy Gunn and Eric Grindal, just to name a few, if you get in there, we'll give you a shout out, and 99% of the time we're going to answer whatever questions you have or any topics you bring up. So if you want to be a part of the live show, that's the way to do it. I know we pound this into your guys' head every week, but there's a reason behind the madness. So it's all for you for this show that we do. So go ahead and click that button, click that bell, and you can be a part of the show.
Absolutely. I also do want to plug a little bit of my own other work here. The Viking Age, head on over there, check out my work there. I've been putting up some articles. I just wrote one up about DALVIN COOK taking the rookie rushing record for the franchise, and I posted one up with the video from Randy Moss's Ring of Honor enshrinement. But I also want to be sure to plug Undead Talking, which is another YouTube channel here. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you can hop on while you watch Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead, and you can watch the show along with me, and we can chat about what's happening on the screen as it's happening, which is a lot of fun. I had a couple people joining me last week for the back-to-back mid-season finale or mid-season premiere, which was 2 hours of Fear the Walking Dead, which is a long time to stick around and chat with me. But I had a lot of fun, and I'm really glad to see that at least a couple people are grabbing onto that. We also will be putting up videos talking about the comics, previewing episodes, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into The Walking Dead, come on over, check it out. You guys got anything you wanted to plug before we take off?
I've got nothing. Football's back. I'm happy and content. Find me on my personal Facebook if you would like to do my English class for me that I signed up for today. I will pay you in songs and thumbs up. Those are free.
All right, I'm going to guess Mr. West has nothing.
I'm good.
I'm going to end by plugging the US Bank Stadium app because this thing does something I did not know it did.
Is the US Bank Stadium
a little bit
app?
ago. Yes. If you go into the US Bank Stadium app and you are at the game watching, you can order food and have them bring it to your seat.
Get the hell out of here.
Oh my God.
App.
That's the fattest, laziest American thing I've ever heard. And
Isn't that amazing?
I love it.
Best stadium in the NFL. Come on. I'd take back my game ball. I'm giving it to you.
Legitimately, Adam,
this is a real thing. This exists.
You're getting the credit, Adam. I'm putting that on my Facebook account right now.
I did not know this exists. I wasted a little bit of money getting chicken strips and fries by standing in line. Then I went to my seat, and I sat down, and the ad came on when I was sitting there eating my food. I'm like, you mean I could have ordered like some fancy food and had them bring it to me? What the hell am I doing?
That's incredible. That's genius. Is there a surcharge for them walking to you instead?
I didn't see one.
That's great. That's cool.
How can we be even lazier in this country? Hold my beer. I've got it.
So that's my last shout out, the US Bank Stadium app. If you go to the game and you want something to eat or want a drink or something, yeah, you can order drinks that way too. If you want like a Bloody Mary or something, sure, the beer guys go around and you can get that. You can get drinks that way.
I would never leave. This is my new home now.
It's
this
amazing.
Is where I live.
It's truly amazing. It blew my mind when I found that out. But that's how we're going to close the show, by talking about having food delivered to our seats. I want to thank everyone for listening, and remember to stay classy, Minnesota.